Salutations Travelers! So you wished on the normal or weapon banner and you got a Skyward Blade. Is it actually better than your Blackleaf Longsword for your Ayaka or Ayato? Is that quite a favonia? The short answer is no. Just like I covered in my 4v3 star video, higher rarity is not always better, and it's the same even for 5-star weapons. I skipped the detailed stats value analysis this time and give you the TLDR. Passives are not affected by rarity, neither is the amount of secondary stats. Harbinger 3-star gives more crit damage than the top tier 5-star Mistsplitter, for example. Higher rarity gives more base damage, but that does not always matter depending on character. So how do you know? Well, you need to compare on a case-by-case basis and math it out. A damage calculator can help you with that, or I can make it easy for you. I'll go over and rank every single currently obtainable 4-star weapons, skipping the event exclusives as they are no longer obtainable. S to B. S is competitive with 5-star weapons. These are your safe, solid investments, and you should compare them carefully when trying to upgrade to a 5-star, as it may not be an upgrade. A is strong but accepts special circumstances such as being uniquely tuned to a specific character. They are just below 5-star weapons and you can replace them without too much thought. B is bad. Those are generally not worth your resources and often even outperformed by some of the better 3-star weapons. And a plus, for example A+, means A for generic use and S if you meet the stated specifics, such as having a short cooldown skill to properly use a passive effect. So let's get to the ranking. Swords. The Flute. The passive is physical and outside of normal attack builds really does not happen often. Attack secondary is acceptable but harder to build around and less valuable or flexible. A tier. The Black Sword. Crit secondary is fantastic, base attack is good, the passive is the decider. The heal part only heals the wielder, limiting the utility. Up to 40% increased normal and charge attacks damage will make this S tier for builds centered around them, A otherwise, so A+ tier. The Ali Flash. This is a weird one, exceptionally high base attack but mastery secondary and yet gives very little of it. The passive is strong but gets completely disabled 5 seconds every time you take any damage at all. Strong but restrictive, A tier. Sacrificial Sword. Low base, very high energy recharge, and a uniquely powerful passive, allowing you to reset your skill cooldown. The value depends on how long your skill cooldown is. The longer, the stronger this passive. S tier. Royal Longsword. Often gets a bad rep because of the resetting passive stacks, but each stack gives a large amount of crit rate, especially at higher refine, and the passive has no cooldown, allowing for very fast stacking and restacking. Attack secondary is still limiting, A tier. Prototype Ranker. Crafted, hence free-to-play friendly, the only physical sword available besides the 5-star Aquila. High base attack and a strong passive giving up to 32% attack and death. This sword is fairly powerful on paper, but while you can play some sword users, like Chen with a physical build, there is currently no real physical design sword wielder in the game, limiting the utility of this sword, B+ tier. Amenoma Kageuchi. Crafted, low base damage, attack secondary not great, but the passive is interesting and quite powerful at higher refine. On skill cost, gain a seed up to 3. On burst, consume seeds for up to 12 energy per seed. This sword can be enough to fill up your burst without any AR at all, depending on skill cooldown. A+ tier. Lion's Roar. Average base, attack secondary, and a hyper-specific passive with some serious limitation. This is a B tier for most users, and an A if you have a very specific team that has high pyro or electrostatus uptime. B+. Kagotsu Ishin. Average base, attack secondary, again. This weapon is free and obtained from Kazuha's to request, no refines. An okay physical AoE damage proc and a 15% attack buff. It's average at best, but it is free and not time limited. A tier. Iron Sting. If Elemental Mastery is what you want, this is your best option, until you can get the 5-star Freedom Sworn. Gives a lot of EM and a strong passive that works well with it. A+ tier. Fabulous Sword. Low base but very high AR, and the passive generates a lot of extra particles. For battery support this is exceptional, but you need decent crit rate on your support, which isn't always optimal. Overall, remains a solid support investment that you're likely to always have someone using. S tier. Blackleaf Longsword. High base, crit damage secondary, and a beefy attack buff. That requires skills. In situations where you can gain and maintain stacks, this is your best generic 4-star offensive sword by far and competes with A-tier 5-star weapons. In situations where you cannot gain stacks, like a weekly boss fight, it falls back down to A, but overall S-tier. Claymores. White Blind, crafted claymore with high def and a strong attack and def passive. This is your best free-to-play weapon for def scaling wielders like Noel and Hito. It is however for now specific to these two, and Hito has other great although paid options. A+ tier. The Bell. No Claymore character can currently make good use of the HP secondary. The passive could be very good, but the cooldown is way too long and cannot be reduced. B tier. Snow Tomb Star Silver. Crafted, high base, physical secondary. While the passive can hit surprisingly hard in a cryo team, like other similar damage procs, the damage is purely physical, not cryo and does not apply cryo, limiting the utility. It is crafted and you can find a free one in the game. You can check my guide if you haven't grabbed your free weapons yet. This would make your Eula or Razor very happy without breaking the bank. A+ tier. Serpent Spine. Average base, good amount of crit rate, and an incredibly strong passive with some limitations. Gives up to 50% increased damage, but you lose stacks upon taking damage. You want to run this with a shielder. You only lose stacks when an enemy attack reduces your HP. Corrosion and Sheer Cold being effects do not consume your stacks. S tier. Sacrificial Greatsword. High base, low ER. Again, the very unique sacrificial effect of skill resets. The power depends on the skill of the wielder. Overall, a solid support weapon. S tier. Blackcliff Slasher. Average base, high crit damage. The Blackcliff passive is still extremely powerful as long as you can get the stacks. It is still strong without, and most content allows stacks. Blackcliff is always a reliable, high-performing generic investment, especially if you're willing to refine it. S tier. Akuyomaru. Average base, attack secondary, not great so far. But what about this worthy Wave Walker passive? 80% increased burst damage is a big number. Well, first remember it only affects burst damage. Now if we look at the details at Refine 5, 0.24% increase per energy capacity of the entire team, up to 80%. That means we would need 333 energy across the team. Divided by 4, that's an average energy cost of 83 for each member of the team. More realistically, you will be around half that most of the time. Still strong, but not ground or rather wave breaking. A tier. Rain Slasher. Average base, high mastery. One of the only 2 EM Claymore in the game currently. The other being a low base attack 3-star weapon. The passive is strong but very limiting. Still your best weapon for a mastery Claymore. This makes a C6 Sayu happy. Terrible for generic builds however. B+ tier. Prototype Archaic. Crafted, high base, attack secondary, underwhelming passive. It's a mid-range weapon but comes free. A tier. Lithic Blade. Another weird one. Average base, attack secondary, and a potentially overpowered passive, giving up to an extra 44% attack and 28% crit rate. But not only limits the wielder but the entire team, as the buff is tied to Liyue characters only. This is the most restrictive weapon line in the game. Only invest if you have a very solid wielder and team composition in mind, that you won't change much if at all. A+ tier. Katsuragi Kiri Nagamasa. Crafted, average base, medium ER. The passive grants a small boost to skill damage and up to 12 energy to the wielder on skill hit with a 10-second cooldown. Overall, a solid free-to-play support option. A tier. Favonius Greatsword. Low base, high recharge. And the Favonius passive generating a lot of extra particles as long as the wielder has a decent crit rate. The Favonius line is always a solid support investment. S tier. Royal Greatsword. High base, attack secondary, royal passive is decent, reliable but not exceptional. A tier. Polearms. Prototype Star Glitter. Crafted, mid-base and ER. The passive is good but ill-suited for a support ER weapon. A tier. Lithic Spear. Same story as the Claymore, borderline overpowered but extremely limiting. A+ tier. Kitane Cross Spear. High base, one of the only 2 mastery spears but on the low side of mastery. The passive is decent, giving personal energy and boosting skill damage. It is a solid mastery spear but there just isn't much demand for one currently. B+ tier. The Catch. This one is legendary. Completely free, not time limited, mid-base and ER, and a staggeringly powerful passive for a burst farmer like Xiangling, Raiden, Rosaria, and so on. Its greatest weakness is that you can only get one. S tier. Favonius Lance, high base, low ER, great Favonius line passive. Overall solid support weapon, if a bit low on the ER for the spear. S tier. Dragon Spine Spear, crafted spear, low base but nice physical amount. The passive is decent but not great. One of only 2 physical spear but both are free, and there isn't much serious demand for physical spears currently. B+ tier. Dragon's Bane, low attack, high mastery, strong but restrictive passive. This can be one of the highest performing spears if you play a specialized reaction build and micromanage your reactions. For more generic use, it's terrible. B+ tier. Deathmatch, low base, very high crit rate, strong attack and death passive. The high crit rate makes this very valuable and easy to build around, and the passive helps offset the low base attack. Overall, one of your best generic offensive spears. S tier. Crescent Pike, the other physical spear, also crafted, higher base, lower phase. Interesting and strong passive for a normal attack build, more of a fun build weapon currently. B+ tier. Blackcliff Pole, mid-base, high crit damage, the usual Blackcliff passive. One of your best generic offensive 4-star, S tier. Wavebreaker's Fin, abnormally high base attack, low attack secondary. Wavewalker line passive, see the previous Akuomaru Claymore for details. Consistent with the weapon line, A tier. Royal Spear, high base, mid attack secondary, royal passive. Like the other royals, a solid weapon, but you'd probably rather buy a Blackcliff, A tier. Catalysts, Blackcliff Agate, mid-base, high crit damage, the same Blackcliff passive, again Blackcliff stays a top tier weapon, S tier. The Widsith, if you don't like the Blackcliff passive, this one has identical stats and a different passive. It gives you one of 3 incredibly strong buffs for 10 seconds every 30 seconds. The randomness and downtime hurts, but they balance out the insanely high values of the buffs, S tier. Solar Pearl, mid-base, high crit rate. The high crit rate already makes it a tremendously good weapon for generic use, and if you equip it on a character that weaves skills and attacks like Ningguang, Klee or Heizo, the passive becomes exceedingly hard to outperform. S tier. Sacrificial Fragments, low base, high mastery. The sacrificial skill reset passive. It's good, but mastery instead of ER makes it considerably less flexible. And mastery is in much lower demand for catalysts currently. It is outstanding for your sucrose, but overall, A tier. Royal Grimoire, high base, attack secondary, royal passive. Like every other royal, it's good but not amazing. A tier. Prototype Amber, mid-base, high HP secondary, and a singular, incredible passive, allowing you to make any catalyst user into a potent healer. I have a guide if you'd like more details. It's not a good generic weapon, but its ability is incredibly unique and powerful, and gives you a ton of team comp flexibility. There is simply nothing else that can bend the rules like this. S tier. Wine and Song, high base, low recharge, and one of the weirdest passives out there. It's decent if you can remember to micromanage the passive, A tier. Mapamare, crafted catalyst, high base, low mastery, and a moderately powerful passive if you have a short skill cooldown. It is rather middling, but free, B+ tier. Hakushin Rain, crafted, high base, low recharge. The passive is a bit of a mess. Requires electro reactions specifically, yet gives ER instead of mastery. While the buff is somewhat party-wide, it lasts a paltry 6 seconds and cannot stack. It is incredibly restrictive and a hassle to play around, while the reward isn't particularly high, B tier. First Bearer, crafted, mid-base and attack secondary. The same Dragon Spine physical icicle passive, serviceable and free but not great, B tier. Favonius Codex, mid-base and recharge. Particles and crit Favonius passive, as usual one of your best support generic weapon. S tier. Eye of Perception, low base, attack secondary. The passive is physical and doesn't scale well, B tier. And Bows, Ally Hunter, high base, attack secondary. The passive increases damage while off-field up to 40% and goes down when the character stays on the field over 4 seconds. Quick swap characters like Fischl can make good use of it, A tier. The Viridescent Hunt, mid-base, high crit rate. The passive is physical, dealing decent damage on a relatively short cooldown, and most importantly it is great at packing small opponents and surprisingly good at staggering bigger ones, S tier. The Stringless, mid-base and mastery. Up to 48% damage increase on both skill and burst with no conditions or limitations. This is a fantastic high-performing weapon that you will probably pass around and always have someone in your cast equipping. S tier. Sacrificial Bow, high base, low recharge, and the usual sacrificial passive. You know the drill, S tier. Rust, mid base and attack. The magic is in the passive for this one, especially at higher refine. Up to 80% increase normal attack damage, unconditional, for a 10% decrease on aim shots. It's not great for generic use, but for a specialized normal attacker like Yoimiya or Child, this is hard to beat. A+ tier. Royal Bow, mid base and attack, royal passives, standard to the weapon line, A tier. Prototype Crescent, crafted, mid-base and attack. The passive isn't bad on paper, but weak points is a very inconsistent enemy design in Genshin, often leaving you with no way to activate the passive at all due to none of your opponents having a weak point, severely hurting this weapon's performance. B tier. Moon's Moon, high base, low attack, wave walker line passive. See Akumaru for details, consistent with the weapon line, A tier. Mittenart's Waltz, mid-base, high physical and a Solar Pearl style passive, normal increase skills and skills increase normals, but only for 5 seconds. It's usable for a Fizz Shell, which is more of a for fun build of questionable effectiveness. You could use it similarly for wacky fun builds like Fizz Guru or Child, and even then Rust is a much safer investment. When it comes to serious use, there isn't any Eula style physical design bow users in the game yet. B tier. Hamayume, crafted, low base, high attack secondary. A peculiar passive, up to 32 and 24% increase, and normals and charge attacks respectively. The bonus is doubled when the wielder is at full energy. Realistically, the bonus is never worth losing your ability to burst, except maybe for Yoimiya, and the low base make the basic bonus rather wimpy. B+ tier. Favonius Warbow, low base, high energy and the Favonius passive, a great reliable support weapon, S tier. Compound Bow, low base, nice physical, the passive is strong and attack speed is a rare buff, but it suffers from the same issue as the Vals, no proper physical bow users yet, B tier. Blackleaf Warbow, high base, low crit damage and the Blackleaf passive, you know what's up by now, S tier. So what if you only have B tier weapons left for a new character? Well, an S tier 3-star weapon is a better choice, and you probably already have a few in your bags, so watch the 3-star ranking. I know you're curious. Until next time, farewell travelers.